This is the 7th of June, 2022. We're at Vincent Corporation in Tampa, Florida, and we're about to run a test. There's a twin screw press, but the press we're going to use is a simple laboratory press, model CP4. You see a motor gearbox. It was last used with a perforated screen. That's what we're going to use. You can see it's turning about 20 RPM. The discharge cone is not under pressure. The air cylinder will push it in. The material we're going to press is this manure. Okay, this material ought to work real well. If you squeeze it, you can get a stream of water. I think you can see the water running out of it. So we're expecting good results on the screw press. Okay, here we're feeding it in. Slow up a bit so I can see the screw turning a bit. There's the screw turning down there. And we're just filling up the press so far. I'll push this cone shut, and we've got some trash buckets, we call them here, and we have buckets where we've tiered the weight. We'll run a time capacity test with those ones. Some press liquor starting to come out here. We have a very fine screen. The perforated is probably 20 thousandths of an inch, and so even with a minuscule hole like that, that's the smallest size screen we have, we're getting a fair amount of solids. I need to get the cone shut under pressure. Alex is going to run around and shut this discharge cone for us. There we go. Okay, let's run it long enough to get a stable flow, and then we'll start a time test.
The cone has about 1 bar.
1 bar, yeah, low pressure. This test press, we're better off using a low pressure like that. And the material's feeding pretty well. Probably has a tendency to bridge in this small press. It narrows down from 8 inches to 4 inches. And here you see a steady stream of press liquor coming out, and cake coming out. Once it stabilizes, we'll start a time test. Okay, here's our press cake, and you can't get a drop out of it now. And we'll be a little bit of wet, a little bit of wet on your fingers.
We're at 1 bar, about 15 psi. Let's crank it up to 20.
No, keep it down.
Okay, we'll leave it.
I don't want to exaggerate the results. Anyway, we're ready to start a test. Things are stable here. Some feed before we start our test. And you take the bucket. Okay, we have now started our test. Pushed out the sails. Keep a steady level of material in the inlet hopper. Constant speed, 20 RPM. Constant pressure on the discharge, 1 bar, 15 psi. And we'll run a time test with the rest of our sample. And with that, we'll know what's going to be achieved. That's Amtrak going by. Okay, we're prepping for our second test. That is, we've got the trash barrels here and fresh containers. Cake coming out. The only change is we've increased the air pressure to 3 bar, 45 psi. That'll give you a real maximum. It looks like there's more liquid coming out, and it's feeding, but we have to keep making sure it doesn't bridge for a test. This is looking good. We can about ready to start the test. Okay, we now have the Second test in process, 45 psi. I'll caption this earlier in the video. That first test we got 150 pounds per hour of material fed into the press, and of that 36% came out as liquid. We'll have moisture or solids results for the liquid and pressed liquor and pressed cake. Test going smoothly. No co-rotation, no channeling, steady flow. 150 pounds an hour is on the low side, but that's what we've got. Okay, we are 4.5 minutes into our test. We would normally use in a manure press, use a larger hole. These are 23 thousandths. We would normally use, I think it's 93 thousandths. 3/32 is the standard for manure. We might go something in between, like an 060 or 050.
All right, is that all she wrote?
Okay, you can see that I've opened the comb. I'll start it, the press on the VFD. It started, and now you'll see how it empties out. It never empties out completely, but would of course emptying back into our trash barrels. This is raw material as we buy it. That is, it's stainless steel. It has been cut out to the dimensions we require. We weld all that together. Here's the assembly department piled up with screw presses. One going together. That goes to Joel in the Philippines, I think, I hope. Frame of a press being welded out. Assembly work going on. Another small press. A couple of more presses in construction. Screen departments in the background. Weld framing is off there someplace.